Yep. So we can get back to Promethean.
Would be like a subject nation. Well, we have been a subject nation, subject to a modern-day British imperial system, which has hollowed out our economy and turned us into a bunch of Uber drivers and coders. And Trump is changing that. That's the economic revolution Trump is creating. And Republicans just lost because either they don't understand what Trump is doing, or in too many cases, oppose it. Now, what does it mean to be a subject nation in the 21st century? It means you're at the mercy of other countries or supranational institutions for your critical supply chains. It means foreign powers control your energy supply, your manufacturing base, your economic future. It means independent central banks and global financiers control capital flows. You are not politically sovereign if you're economically dependent.
Amen.
This is the British imperial model that's dominated the world for centuries. They don't need colonies anymore when they can control you through finance and trade.
Yep.
And Trump is systematically breaking those chains. Start with rare earth minerals. We've been a subject nation in this critical sector, but Trump is changing that. His Asia trip and the previous Australia agreement consolidated rare earth deals with numerous countries and negotiated a one-year agreement with China where they will not impose an embargo. That gives Trump and other countries the head start on setting up alternate lines of production, as he said on CBS.
You talked about those rare earth minerals. Of course, my understanding is about 90% of them come from China. That's
right
their,
now.
Yeah.
But within a short period of time, we'll have everything we need for ourselves. You know, we've instituted an emergency program, and we will have, within a year from now to a year and a half, we'll have everything we need, no matter what kind of a threat is made.
How? How do we do that?
Because we've taken over. First of all, you saw the partnerships we've established with Japan, with Australia, with UK, with just about everybody, frankly, and we're all doing it together. You know, this wasn't a threat against the United States. This was really a threat against the world. So the whole world has come together, I think, at our behest. And rare earths, within 2 years, rare earths will really cease to be a problem.
This is just one very big example of how Trump is freeing the United States, and for that matter, the world, from an imperial-type system where globalist rules, in this case free trade, strip away a nation's economic independence. But there's another aspect which is flying below most people's radar screens, and where it gets really revolutionary. And this is where the global financier elite are absolutely terrified. Donald Trump is setting up channels of investment outside the control of the Federal Reserve and the other lords of money centered in the city of London.
Pause.
The way he's negotiating these internet...
So he is setting up trade agreements outside of the current ones, outside of the Federal Reserve, which means they have no strings anymore. And she said the lords of money, Steve Bannon calls them the lords of easy money, and that's Wall Street and the World Bank. So he now has done an end around those financial institutions that say, we have your strings, you can't do unless we say. So Federal Reserve, did I ever think that he could do something outside of that? Nope. Which I'm thankful that he figured it out. And then the Wall Street and the World Bank. How? But he's doing it. And that's got them scared. Scared, because those are the levers of power, and the elites have had those levers of power since the Federal Reserve Bank was created under whom? Woodrow Wilson,
Your favorite.
1913, 1914, something like that. Over 100 years. He's saying, done with you now.
Over it.
Over it.
National deals. He's creating long-term lines of credit from countries like Japan and South Korea, who will fund major industrial development over the next decade. So people who want to build and build big won't be at the mercy of the Wall Street model with its quarterly profit obsession or the annual appropriation whims of a dysfunctional Congress. We haven't seen that kind of financing since the World War II mobilization. Look at what South Korea just committed. $20 billion per year over the next 10 years in American investment in nuclear power, shipbuilding, and other manufacturing areas. They're investing $5 billion in the Philadelphia shipyard, which is right next door to New Jersey, where probably a lot of New Jersey voters could get a job. Hyundai and Cerberus are investing another $5 billion in additional shipbuilding capacity, which will impact both New Jersey and Virginia. Memo to Republicans. Remember this. Here's where it gets even more interesting. J.P. Morgan Chase wants to get in on the bandwagon. In October, they announced a 10-year, $1.5 trillion investment initiative in U.S. supply chains, critical minerals, grid resilience, advanced manufacturing, and aerospace. Compare that to the previous 10 years where they invested about 1/3 of that, and most of it in sustainability, namely green crap. Even this bastion of Wall Street and British imperial financing methods has figured out that Trump is indeed reshaping the world and the U.S. This is what makes the British establishment panic. Trump is creating an American system of credit for productive development. Exactly what Hamilton designed, what Lincoln used to build the Transcontinental Railroad, what Roosevelt deployed to win World War II. And it's what the British Empire has tried to destroy for 250 years. Because when nations control their own credit for productive purposes, they're no longer subject nations. This is about sovereignty. When you control your supply chains, when you produce your own energy, when you control your credit, you're not a subject anymore. You're sovereign. And here's what makes this truly revolutionary. Every one of these projects requires skilled workers, not college graduates with useless degrees and crushing debt, not marijuana chefs or Starbucks baristas, but skilled tradespeople who can weld, who can operate advanced machinery, who can build nuclear reactors and LNG carriers. Trump recently signed an executive order to foster the creation of 1 million skilled trade jobs in the United States. When he was in the Oval Office earlier this year for the U.S. Steel deal, he said he would like to divert money from British outposts like Harvard.
I'd like to see the money go to trade schools, where people learn how to fix motors and engines, where people learn how to build rocket ships.
Yet, even with these unprecedented amounts of industrial financing on its way to the United States and the promise of millions of good-paying jobs, here's how the British press covered it. Here's how the British press covers the situation in the United States. Because they want you, and especially young men, to stay pessimistic. Why? Because that's how they control populations.
Yep.
Some months ago, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent made a very insightful comment in an interview.
The Democrats had this strategy called compensate the loser. So first of all, the name of that strategy, I don't think the bottom 50% of Americans are losers. I think the system hasn't worked for them. I think that they are winners. It's just a bad system.
Remember that phrase, compensate the losers. That's how the empire wants to control. On the Democratic side, they'll provide you with the minimum to stay alive, SNAP benefits and Obamacare. On the other side, if you're an angry young white conservative man, then you're told you've been victimized by the globalist system, which is run by the Jews, and that's who you should be angry at. But this is all a lie. The enemy is the modern-day British Empire, which Trump is committed to bringing down. And his economic revolution offers young people exactly what their grandfathers had, the ability to graduate from a trade school debt-free and immediately start working on a $5 billion shipbuilding project starting at $80,000 a year with full benefits. So when Trump says we'd be a subject nation without the power of tariffs, he's describing economic revolution that Republicans just failed to campaign on. We're talking about $17 to $20 trillion coming into the United States, outside of the control of the Federal Reserve and the City of London. and with it, millions of skilled trade jobs, rebuilding American sovereignty from the ground up. That's what's going to win elections.
Yep.
I warned people. Put Trump's economic policies at the top of the ticket or lose. They didn't listen, and yesterday they lost. Here's what needs to happen before 2026. Every Republican candidate needs to campaign on Trump's economic revolution. Not immigration alone, not wokeness alone, not crime alone. Economics first. Supply chain independence, skilled trade jobs, breaking free from being a subject nation, challenging British financial control. Because if they don't, yesterday's wipeout will look like a preview of 2026, and we all know the consequences, and Trump said it this morning in his breakfast with Republican senators. So share this video with every Republican candidate and party official and activists that you know. Show them what they should have been campaigning on. Show them why they lost. And if you want to help us spread this message and be part of finishing the American Revolution, join us at Prometheus.
So that's the end of that. And 17 to 20 trillion dollars is going to be coming in to our infrastructure, our energy sector, our grid building, our ship building, our nuclear programs, and all of that without going through the Federal Reserve or the World Bank in London. They don't have a say on 17 to 20 trillion. You think they're mad about that? And currently we have the neocons in the neoconservatives, the rhinos, the Republicans in name only, that are trying to hijack MAGA. And they're doing a pretty good job. So
They're trying to divide us in our own party. And it's definitely working.
It's strong, and that's why I needed to recenter everyone and get us all moving in the same direction again. The best way to do that is root you in history and give you the understanding of what we're doing now and where we're going. It's going to take a bit to get there, but we're going to get there. But we aren't going to get there if we are divided, if they divide us and they conquer us, because that's what they're trying to do right now.
Divided we fall. Don't ever forget
Divided
that.
we
And
fall.
that's why there's so many times that I've said, it doesn't matter what type of MAGA you are.
No.
What is at the root of it is making America great again. And if that's what you believe in, the rest is the rest.
Steve Bannon said, litmus test. I will ask you, do you believe in the Bill of Rights?
Yes.
I do too, so let's go. Let's
Bingo.
lock arms and go.
Bingo.
And that's where we are.
what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important that we recenter ourselves.
Yes.
And stay in lockstep, or we'll shatter our own party.
So how are you feeling?
A little better.
Okay. Less demoralized?
Less.
Some hope?
Some more hope than I had probably an hour ago.
How about some understanding? Do you understand history a little bit better?
Oh, quite a bit more, yeah.
Good. And where we are, where we are, where we're going, where we were, where we are, and where we're going.
Yes, very much so.
And now God's going to tell us he's got the last word.
Last word. Here we go.
He's crazy with this.
All right. We're in Song of Songs.
Song
Looks
of
like
Solomon. That's interesting.
Looks like chapter 7, verse 11 is where I pointed.
Written by King Solomon.
It says, "Come, darling, let's go out to the countryside and spend the night in the villages. We will get up early and look at the vines to see whether they've started to grow, whether the blossoms are opening, and the pomegranate trees are in bloom. There I will give you my love. You can smell the scent of mandrakes, and all the pleasant fruits are near our door. Darling, I have kept for you the old delights and the new."
So why do you think that God wanted us to hear that tonight with this heavy topic?
To make it a little more light.
He said, remember, stop and smell the roses.
Yep.
Stop and smell the mandrakes. I've never seen a mandrake.
I haven't either.
Except on Harry Potter.
Well, true. I've seen it there. But it can also be taken, that we are who he's talking to like that. That we're going to take a stroll on the countryside and he's going to show us all the beautiful things and take your mind off of everything else.
He's saying, I got you. I got you.
Yep.
Look at this. I got you.
And I read through all the way until the end of chapter 7. So.
When you said Song of Songs, it's like Song of Solomon. That's considered the love book. 1 Corinthians 13 is what Jesus says, what God says about love. But that romance love is the Song of Solomon. So
I know when I looked at it, you know how your eyes kind of scan the page before you read it, and I'm like, this is a weird one, but all right. But it makes sense.
It makes sense because it's going back to God saying, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. And I'm going to show you beautiful things.
Yep.
So don't fret.
What matters is his love for us.
Amen.
And that is always going to prevail over everything.
Do not focus on oncoming doom. Focus
Facts.
on what I've given you and the blessings I've given you. And I've
Go
got this.
smell the roses. Or the mandrakes if you have them. All right. Well, we'll leave you with that, and we'll see you in the next one.
Leave your comments. I want to hear.
Yes, we want to see your comments. Share,
Bye.
share, and we'll see you in the next video.
Oh,